All right, so I click on record.
Hey, good evening, good afternoon, good morning to everybody. Welcome back. My name is Juan Garcia, and I'm once again joined by my good friend and business partner, Mr. Jarish. How are you doing, sir?
Great, doing great. Hi, everyone. I hope that you enjoyed the first session we had. I think it was very interesting. And we intend to just go deeper into our discussions in this one.
Yeah, absolutely. So Jarish and I actually, we really mastermind a lot. We really talk a lot. And we were thinking one day, hey, wouldn't it be amazing if more people heard in the discussion? Because it's interesting to hear from other people's perspectives and other people's opinions as well. So we decided to bring this one back. And man, we got an interesting topic this time. We decided to talk about fear because it seems like fear paralyzes people, and fear causes a lot of damage to one's life. I actually tweeted about it earlier. I said that fear actually is one of the three major causes that causes failure to success, along with doubt and indecision and fear. So, So what do you think, Jarish? Let's start right here. Where do you think the root cause of fear comes from? From your personal experience to working with clients, where do you think fear comes from?
I think before we answer that, maybe we should look at the importance of fear for people in general. I mean, biologically, we can't get rid of fear because it's part of us. It's part of the survival mode. It's the fight or flight response which we have in the body, which is important. And I think I mentioned that in the previous podcast, or I mentioned it to you possibly. We need to be fearful in case someone is going to attack us, for example. So if someone is going to come with a knife to stab you, you need to feel fear, then you're going to react. So it was important for us during that, that time frame where we actually had to hunt for food and we had to defend ourselves, defend our territories and all that. But the problem is the fight and flight response is important for us to survive, but nowadays, with so much stress we have, whether it's at the workplace, whether it's with relationships, and we are bombarded with information from the media and all that, it seems that the fight and flight response is triggered the whole time, and that becomes a problem because it's not being used for its purpose. So that's a source of fear. And what's causing fear right now? It's a lot of things. I think we are trying to do too many things. We're constantly comparing our path with that of others and trying to situate us. Maybe we're not being quick enough, so we kind of, this affects our self-esteem when we compare ourselves to others. We're trying to validate our existence with respect to others. Okay, we are not exactly doing what we should be doing or what we've been born to do. And that creates confusion and fear again. So there are lots and lots and lots of factors. And it just goes on. There are so many things. But mostly I meet people who have anxiety and fear associated with rejection, whether it's rejection at the workplace, whether it's rejection in their relationships, or it's fear linked to previous things which happened. So trauma from the past could be something which happened in your childhood. It could be your marriage, which didn't work out well. Lots of different things. It could be fear of physical things which happen to you. I meet people who had accidents. And they're still afraid of, trying to get on their bike again because of what happened before. So there are all sorts of fear. So to sum up, it's linked to past trauma. It's linked to the future. When you start to think about the future and you don't feel confident enough, so that brings fear. And it's fear of rejection for the present moment right now. Fear of rejection, maybe you're thinking you're not good enough, you're not doing enough, or other people have already done those things but you didn't, and we kind of start to get parents influencing the present fear as well, because you have parents putting lots of pressure on people to be what they think they should be, and they're not exactly living their life. So, and that's that's a question which actually opens too many doors, too many things to talk about. Yeah.
So I feel like, so I'm a success coach. I'm also a mindset coach. I teach about the conscious and the subconscious mind. And I teach that these past programmings come from childhood, and that instill different programs in us. Sometimes it's lack of money. Sometimes it's fear. So do you think it's possible? Do you think possibly that having fear, do you think that maybe that manifests a physical disease in your body, like the fear leading to anxiety, which leading to a negative vibration? Do you think that? I believe that. I don't know what you think.
No, I do. I mean, when you start to feel fear, or you feel afraid, you feel it in your belly region. So if you're in
root chakra.
Root chakra. So if you are fearful a lot, you will notice that region becomes sensitive usually, and you actually start to get problems linked to digestion. Okay, and you won't believe if I tell you. In fact, you will believe, but some people won't believe that. Actually, if people have digestion problems, and if you try to actually look at their thinking patterns, you'll notice that there is fear hidden somewhere. I mean, fear is part of their day-to-day emotion cycle. Okay, they experience fear, and that's what happens. And yes, it does affect us physically. I mean, emotions affect us physically. I mean, it's normal. We are wired like that. Okay. Right now we're talking. There's a certain sort of emotion when we are talking. We are a bit excited about what we're discussing. We're very passionate about what we're discussing. So there is a certain feeling. Now, good feelings bring you to good places. All right. And there are certain feelings which actually, I won't say bad. I don't like using the word bad, because we experience both extremities, all right? But there are some feelings which, in fact, prevent you from being yourself fully, because these feelings bring you down. Now, experiencing these feelings are fine. I mean, it's quite normal to feel sad. It's normal to feel unhappy about certain things. But if we let these feelings kind of eat us, then we are not being productive. Then we won't be able to meet our goals, which we've set. And you probably can connect very well with that, because you actually teach people how to set goals and achieve them. So it affects us physically, but it also shrinks our mindset. And that's where I come into place, because I like talking about the mind, and I've specialized in that. And that's to me the other side of the things. Yeah. And mind and body are one anyway.
Totally agree.
Yeah.
I feel like, in my opinion, I feel like you need fear. I feel like there's good fear and then there's bad fear. In my opinion, I think that sometimes you have to face fear. Like, for example, you want to buy your dream home, but you're fearful. You want to ask a girl on a date, but you're too fearful. Or you want to make a big business decision that's crucial, but it makes you too scared, Sometimes fear is a good thing. It helps you. Like with Bob Proctor, we teach something called about a paradigm. Sometimes in order to break that mental program in your paradigm, you have to face what's called a terror barrier. And in order to face the terror barrier, you must break it. You must go through it in order to achieve the goals, the results that you want in your life. So I totally feel like fear plays a role in our lives. But it's not completely bad. I feel like some people fear just completely, but I feel like you need to face it sometimes, especially when you want to go out for the things you want in life.
I mean, you're totally correct with that. I mean, anything new you try to do, you're going to experience fear when you're trying to do that new thing, because you're getting out of your comfort zone. So we need to work on that fear. I mean, even for me, before I go on stage, let's say I need to do a workshop, before I go on stage, I do feel fear, you know? I mean,
It's a good
sometimes I
fear.
don't at all. Sometimes I don't at all. But I feel fear, but I tell myself, you know, it's excitement. I'm being excited right now. So it's not that negative fear. So it's good. It's good to feel fear in the sense that you're doing something new. So, you know, you play with that emotion of yours. But actually, it doesn't prevent me from delivering. You know, when I start to do it, then you don't think about it. And I think everyone feels that fear because, like we discussed, it's part of us. You know, we can't be someone who has no emotions or no feelings. I'm actually thinking of the Christian Bale movie right now. But you know, they try to create that perfect specimen of people with no feelings because actually emotions led to wars and all these things. I'm thinking about that right now as we're discussing. But yeah, you're very right. You're correct. And the same thing actually applies to, you know, positive stress. You need stress to actually be productive. Okay, so stress in that sense is positive because it makes you feel things. And you know, discomfort is actually part of us. Like, let's say, how do you know you need to eat? You start to feel a certain discomfort, right? You're hungry, then you eat.
Right.
So fear is a sort of discomfort too, right? So that fear actually tells you that, you know, you need to get out of your comfort zone. So you're a bit afraid, but you just need to do the positive self-talk. No, I need to do it so that, you know, it's only by going out of the comfort zone that I can achieve more, do more. Then you just get on with it. So we will never be able to eliminate fear. But I think the punchline is that we need to use the fear to be productive. Maybe that's it. Yeah.
Absolutely. What would you say to someone who's fearful of failure or fearful of rejection? I feel like sometimes you have to take a loss, you know, you have to, in order to get to where you want to be, you know, life isn't all about wins, you know?
Yeah.
So what would you say to someone who's scared of rejection or who's scared of failure? What would you say?
That's a very intense question. Fear of failure. First of all, I think at some point we need to love losing. If you look at the bigger picture of things, okay, let's take us as example as coaches. When we started, when we had to do workshops, we were very fearful, isn't it? We were scared of the crowd, scared of whether people will accept us, you know, whether we're good enough to do these things. But if you think long run, you actually need to start there, get the criticism, grow, because in the long run, you're going to win. So you should be happy to actually take the punches right now to grow. So I think people are very scared of failure because failure has been given a bad name. And if we dig deep now, Juan, maybe it's part of schooling. We don't encourage people, we don't encourage students to take risk and fail. I mean, one thing I do with my son is I keep telling him, you know, it's okay, you can't do it, but the more you do it, you're going to be good at it. It's something very simple. But right now, I think I can do lots of things and take lots of risk, whether it's investing in stock, whether it's meeting new people, doing workshops with new people I've not known for a long time, but I just do it because I'm not scared of failing. If it doesn't work, it's a good experience, you know. So if we value long-term win rather than short-term gain, I think we won't be afraid because we know it's all part of being the bigger version of yourself in the long run. So you can apply that to relationships too. You just try. You just try. If it doesn't work, and when you propose a goal, you just move on. You try the next one.
Right. So
I think we're too afraid of losing. I think we're too afraid of losing. Yeah.
Yeah, you can't be though. You have to go for it.
Yeah.
So I don't know if you've read this book, Girish, Think and Grow Rich, right?
I didn't read it, but I heard you talking about it in the morning. I was reading your tweet.
So yeah. This book is very, very, very crucial. I've read it probably a handful of times. I've listened to the audio millions of times.
Whoa. Okay.
And in chapter 15, it talks about the 6 basic fears, the six common fears of people, and tell me what you think. So the most common fears of people, the fear of poverty.
All right. Yeah.
The fear of criticism. The fear of ill health.
Yeah.
The fear of loss of someone someone you love.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then you have the fear of old age and the fear of death.
Yeah.
So those are very interesting topics that most common people,
yeah,
I guess you can say fear. What do you think about people who fear dying?
Okay, that's an amazing question. It just brings me back to my Buddhist background when I listen to this, because that's one of the main. Yeah. Oh, you didn't know? So I'm a Sutherland
I didn't know that.
Buddhist.
You never told me that.
Yeah. I'm a Sutherland Buddhist, even if I have an Iron Maiden shirt right now. So, so it brings back to the first principle of Buddhism. So you have something called the Four Noble Truths, okay, which actually describes life for you. And if you understand it really deeply, it's quite enlightening, okay? And the first noble truth is that life is suffering, okay? So life is suffering. And if we actually elaborate on that, it means that you are born, okay? And you grow up. And while you grow up, now you have a physical body which gets sick. So you feel pain. When you grow up, at many things can happen. You may lose your mother. You can lose your parents. People may emotionally abuse you. So there is suffering in life. Okay, and we get old, we get sick, we get weak, we get illnesses. So life is suffering in that sense. We can't escape that. So the moment you accept it, the moment you accept that, you move up a level in terms of spirituality, let's say. So it just reminds me of this. So you talk about getting old, you talk about dying. So that's part of the first noble truth. I mean, you need to accept that as a human being, because there are certain things we can't control. So as a human being, I'm going to get sick at one point. What will happen to my body? I'm not sure. I mean, I can control the food I eat. I can control my social circle, the people I meet, but I can't control everything, you know? So I do my maximum, but the body is fragile in that sense. And this is why you can't actually get attached to your body. And that makes me think of people who are so, attached to the way they look, because at some point you're going to get old, right? So if you get attached to that version of yourself, which is young, which looks pretty, which attracts people and all that, but at some point you're going to lose it. So you can't get attached to that, to the way you look. But instead, you can actually try to discover your true essence as a human being, who you are. And this is why, that's one of the reasons why spiritual people actually don't they don't give too much importance to how they look, in fact, because it's all about the inner journey. It's not about neglecting the physical self, but it's just that you don't care. It's I mean, I get a lot of stick for that usually, but if I need to go out, I usually don't care what I've wore. It could be torn jeans and an Iron Maiden shirt which looks a bit dirty. So I don't think about all these things because it's not important for me. It's right now I'm not shaved, so these things are not important because it's like it's a vessel for your being. I mean, we could go and talk about the soul right now, but it's not me. It's just a body my parents gave me. It's not me. So if you dig deep and if you understand that, then maybe that fear of getting old and dying will be gone, because we're all being born to die.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, like Napoleon Hill says in the book, you have to accept fear as an inevitable stage of life.
Yeah. Yeah.
And most importantly, those of you who are into spirituality, fear is just a transition into the next phase of your
Yeah.
spiritual path.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. Yeah.
fear, the end of death. The death itself is it's nothing to really fear about.
Yeah.
It's a stage that at some point everyone and everything gets there,
Mm-hmm.
So practicing what you practice as a practitioner with your clients, if you have someone who is fearful, what would you recommend? Aside from the breathing that we did in the last show, what would you recommend? Like, what advice would you give them?
It depends on where the fear comes from. It's like I had a conversation yesterday with someone, and the anxiety and fear was linked to the people at the workplace. All right. So to how people were not accepting the person, the client. And I just said what I do. So what I said is, I mean, if you think that there is something in you that's causing that rejection, you can work on it. But if you analyze objectively and you see that these people are toxic, then why care? There are some things you can control, and there are some things you can't control. And the I don't care mindset, okay, it goes very deep. It goes very deep. And I had a chat with a close friend last night as well, and it was about the opinions of her parents. And to me, the I don't care goes very deep. It's I don't care my parents' opinions about the way I live. I don't care about my wife's opinions. I don't care about some people at my workplace opinions. I'm comfortable with that, not caring. I'm totally detached. And it's also because that I know my intent is right, So when I'm with my clients, the intent is really to help them. When I'm at the workplace, the intent is to do the best there. Now, if you're not happy with that, I really don't care, because I can't do more than what I'm doing. So actually, I mean, we have kind of put that positive criticism thing, we've put that on a pedestal, but very few people actually criticize positively, let's say. Criticism can't be positive. Feedback is positive, okay? Feedback given with the best intent. Once again, you're telling the person what are the things, you could change to be your better version. But we kind of have overused positive criticism a lot at the workplace or in any other place. It's abused a lot, that term, to me. All right. And for me, I think I've been very happy the last few years because I've been caring less about people. And it's not an ego thing. It's not linked to my ego. It's just that I know my intent is the best in everything I do for the people, not for me, So I don't really care. And I practice it, Sometimes it's a bit harder to practice when someone close is telling you something. But if you really keep doing it, I don't really care, you keep detached from it. After years of practice, you're going to get it right at some point. So the only thing you can control is your intent. I don't know how many times I say that. I probably say it in every workshop, maybe 20 times. But yeah, you don't need to care. You just need to.
And I have a lot of friends who are in the same boat. I mean, they're scared of taking decisions, of doing a specific thing, because I'm scared of what they'll think of me. Who gives a shit?
Exactly.
Who gives a shit? Is that person going to pay your bills? Is that person going to provide the dream lifestyle you want? Is that person going to make you happy?
Yeah.
Is that person going to be there for you after you make the decision?
Yeah.
For the most part, no, I feel like the only decision you should most of the time is your spouse, your partner, if you have a partner. And
that's something
even then.
Yeah, amazing.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And even then I feel sometimes when your partner maybe is not on the same wavelength as you,
exactly,
and you have to take an important decision, you gotta
make practice that again.
Man. You can't give a shit.
Yeah.
If it's gonna better you and your family, why let your partner bring you down? You just gotta do it.
That's why I said it goes very deep. It goes, you know, till your parents, till your partner, your wife, your husband. It goes very deep, the I don't care mindset, but it's fundamental. If you know the intent is really right, you know, it's very pure, it's very fundamental. So if you're someone with a very good intent and you use the I don't care mindset, you're going places. But obviously, the I don't care thing is associated with negative things, meaning you're just thinking about yourself. But we're actually putting it in a context where the intent is very right. So, you know what we've done right now? We've actually taken two different extremities and put them together to make up a mindset which is very productive, in fact. It's like you going on stage and talking your truth, okay? If you keep thinking, whether it's interesting enough, my life story, whether that will benefit people, whether people will like it or no, then you're never going to do it. So if you go with the I don't care mindset, but the intent is really pure, you know, you're doing that to help people and you're being yourself at the same time, then it's going to work. Even if one person, you know, appreciates it from 100 people audience, you've changed the life of one person. You know, so if you start to think about it, and you don't just do things to please people, like wear the kind of clothing to please people, but just be you, then I think that's the unlock, in fact. One of the things which will help you to not be fearful, because when you don't care, because what is fear? You fear losing something, right? You fear losing respect. You fear losing the recognition maybe you're expecting from people. You fear losing your image you created, maybe your family image. I don't know, but none of these things are important, you know. I mean, none of these things are more important than your own happiness.
Absolutely. And I know a lot of people who are also fearful of being rejected and not being accepted. And it's like, why do you care, man? You know, at the end of the day, you have to be you, whether they accept you or not. Life goes on, you know, life goes on.
Yeah, you know, one thing I keep giving to people every time is, why do you want to feel accepted? You know, why? I mean, to me, I'm fine being alone, but I'm fine being with people at the same time. So maybe one thing we didn't discuss yet is your self-love, self-appreciation. You know, each person is different and each person comes with certain characteristics, right? So before you even try to get into a relationship with someone, before you try to love someone, you first need to love yourself. One of the key problems there is in relationships, you'll notice that, is that people don't appreciate themselves enough. So how can you actually give love if you don't appreciate yourself enough, you know? I'm not talking about looking at yourself in the mirror and saying, I love you every day. It's not about that, but it's actually being happy with the person you are. I'm fine with the way I am, because I'm being me. I'm like that, you know? So if each person actually expresses himself or herself fully without the fear of judgment, I think they're going to be happy in the long run. They're going to make the right decisions. They're going to make more decisions, ultimately leading to getting it right in their path, let's say, to get what they want, because they won't be afraid. So I think that's one of the things.
I think fear, in terms of like career-wise, business, I feel like fear is something that paralyzes millions of people, you know. I feel like fear leads to worry, panic, doubt, anxiety, indecision, and all those things paralyze you, man, especially if there's something crucial that you must act on immediately. That's usually when the person stops, you know, and just throws in the towel and gives up.
Yeah.
And I mean, that's what separates the good from the great, you know?
Yeah. And so, I think overthinking kills it too.
Exactly.
The more you think about it, the more fear you generate. So if you're spontaneous, you act when the problem comes. And I think I was telling that to someone. Yeah, I was explaining conflict management I think, to someone one day. And I said, you know, when a problem comes at the workplace, a lot of people start thinking, oh, who did it? You know, who did it and why it happened? That shouldn't have happened. That should have happened. You spend so much time actually talking about the problem, but that energy could actually be used to solve the problem. So when I come across a problem, I'm not playing the blame game. Okay, that's the problem. I try to find a solution to fix it. So it's spontaneous. And then afterwards, you probably go and check why it happened, and then to help improve the system or the persons who were involved. But that's at a later stage. But the main concern should be to solve the problem. But I think we are all in a sort of society where we enjoy playing the blame game. You know, it just makes the people feel better when someone messed up, and that's what's. Are we allowed to swear here? I mean, that's what's messed up with the society. I think people enjoy looking down at others. It makes them feel significant, and that's very bad.
I feel like people like that never maintain long-term success. So I feel like at some point you have to own up, be responsible, and be responsible for yourself. Start holding yourself accountable and stop pointing fingers at other people. Success will never stay long-term.
Yeah, they never end up being credible people anyway. Their credibility takes a big punch. Exactly. I mean, truth always comes out. Yeah.
So I would like to close off with this question here. Let's say somebody has fear. Let's say just fear overall. Let's say fear of those 6 things I mentioned, or fear of a dog, or fear of getting into an airplane, etc. What would be one recommendation you would make to someone who's dealing with fear that can ground their energy back to normal and kind of get rid of some of that fear? What would you recommend?
It's visualization. But it's step by step. So let's say you're afraid of flights. I mean, it's one of the things I was afraid of. I'm afraid of height, in fact. Okay. When I get on the plane, I need to actually put my foot, down and try to feel something under my foot. That's my big scare, in fact. So you should actually practice living that moment. Okay. And it's well documented. I mean, if I knew we were going to talk about it, I could put a link. Or maybe we can put a link afterwards, Juan, to that study. But actually, it's been done, and it's proven that if you visualize the thing you're fearful of a lot, it actually helps you being okay with it, And I've been doing something extreme in my head, which I'm going to share, which is very extreme. But when I actually lived my first heartbreak at university, let's say, it was very bad. It actually turned my life 360 degrees. In terms of how I view the world, because I think I was always an extreme person. I don't just take things in a mundane way. So when something happens, I need to find the reason and how I need to change, how I need to, change perspective and all that. But actually, to make me stronger, you know what I did? I lived in my head the worst moments of my life. I just leave them in my head. So I close my eyes, I visualize, I let the bad feelings come up. But at the same time, I do positive self-talk. I say, I'm strong enough to go through it. So I do that many times. I leave these bad things till I'm actually okay with these bad things. Because if you think about it, I'm someone who survived epilepsy too. So what can be worse to me? I'm not scared of anything right now. Even if you say the most nasty things to me, I've survived it. So if you actually use your negative things which happen in your life to your advantage, that will make you less fearful. And each one of us has been through something very bad at some point. So if you go back, you look at that bad thing, and you actually also look at how you tackle it and how you are right now, automatically gives you a sense of confidence. Okay, so look at the things which were bad for you, but you actually overcame. Get that strength, and then visualize the things which are making you feel scared right now. Play them in your head slowly, till you're actually okay with it. Till when it actually happens, then you're fine. So let's say someone is uncomfortable with criticism. So that person will start practicing in his or her head, people criticizing him or her at her workplace, let's say. And feel the emotions, and then start being okay with it. Till when it actually happens, you'll be okay because you've been practicing it a lot. Now, another thing extreme which I do is I expect people to say the worst things to me. Okay, I just kind of expect it. So I have a very funny reaction, and people always ask me, but how do you not react to that? Okay, and the secret is, okay, to me, I believe in two things. People have the capacity of displaying their best self, all right? But people also have the capacity of displaying their worst self. So to me, in my head, I kind of expect the person to give his or her best self, and the person to give his or her worst self also. So when someone yells at me, I'm fine with it. You know, I'm fine with it because I kind of expect it. So how much courage do you actually have to expect both sides of people? And that goes very deep. Once again, you have to have the same kind of mindset with your parents, with your partner, with your business partner. With eventually you will, neutrally talk to the person. The way you behave is not productive. That will happen. But when it happens on the spot, it doesn't bother me because I expect the worst from people. But I expect the best too. You see, I play with both extremes, and that's one of the reasons why I'm happy. I'm not trying to create a fake world where, we view the world with rose-tinted glass, where everything is love and light. That's nonsense. What I tell my students is that, or what I tell people I coach is that you're going to go out there, people are going to backstab you. People are going to try to make you bite the dust. You need to have the mindful tactics to deal with those things. We should be careful. We don't try to sell a dream to people. Everything is going to be okay. I agree that you attract lots of things. So negative things you attract come from you also. But the most positive people had to go through bad things, historically. So it's going to happen. Not everything is going to be smooth and positive and love and light. It's not going to happen. So I think accepting both extremities is the key to not be fearful again. Because if you expect it to happen, when it happens, you're not afraid. It doesn't cause anxiety. But it's a lot of training when you think about it.
Absolutely, man. And this is a lot of good stuff, man. Good stuff, like always, Jarish.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna go ahead and we're gonna wrap this up right here.
Yeah.
I appreciate all you guys for being here with us. If you guys want to contact Jarish, I'll have his information linked down below in the description, as well as my own. And until then, I appreciate you guys coming, and we will see you on the next topic next week. Have a good one, guys.
Bye. Cheers.